Hey, welcome to Two Cents, everybody. If you've never listened to the show before, this is our weekly recap of the news, industry, film, TV, tech, a little bit of music stuff. If there's anything that I find over the following week, I aggregate it and we talk about it. So before we get into that, we've been really busy here at Dollar Reviews. We got a domain name earlier this week, dollarreviews.net. As of last night, I've published every single episode we've ever done on YouTube. You can
You're
go to
finally
YouTube.
glad that you're done with that, aren't you?
Well, it's not done. It has to happen every week. And I
But you're
was
done like
done.
spending the entire week doing
Yes. I,
that.
I
Yeah.
spent like every waking second converting every file. First, I had to download every file. Then I'd take every file, turn it into a movie. Then I had to upload all those and put all the tags and all that. So you can go to youtube.com/dollar review. No S at the end. If we get 100 subscribers, we can change that URL to make it easier for you. So if you want to find us that way, we're going to be tweeting out those videos from now on. We should also be on Stitcher in the next couple of days. We already submitted to them. I'm sure we're going to get approval tomorrow, maybe even Tuesday. In addition to that, Steve and I also made new intros and outros for all of our shows going
Thank
forward,
God.
right? So
It was.
we've been doing a
I had a
lot.
horrible night doing that. You know
Oh
that.
yeah, you
Yeah.
were like asleep on the mic, and you were with your eyes closed, and I was like, you got to get more into
Yeah.
this. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna take a really cold shower really quick.
No, that was before we did the episode. Like,
Was it?
yeah, I think, and then we were working on like right before. We wrote all these things out, and then we decided to record them afterwards because you were just didn't want to be in that mood because it's so monotonous
It was
to record them. Yeah, but
doing them
I don't know.
over
Did
and
you
over.
think they turned out good? I didn't get
Yeah,
your
yeah.
comment
I
on it.
mean, I've
Yeah.
only listened to one so far, but yeah, I liked it. I mean, it's basically the same. You can tell us, tweet it at us, dollar reviews, tell us on Facebook, leave comment on YouTube. Just let us know some way, and we can change it back if we don't like it. Just joking. We spent too much time. Let's get on with the show. We talked about this last week. We got to talk about it again because so much has happened. Oscars So White, the second annual Oscars So White. So if you're in the dark, and you would be because they're all white, all 20 acting nominations this year at the Academy Awards, again, are Caucasians. So let's do a timeline really quick so we can actually talk about this. Started, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday. Spike Lee, he penned a letter on Facebook explaining that he's not attending the Oscars despite winning an honorary Oscar at the Governor's Ball. He says he's going to a Knicks game instead. Like the next day after that, Jada Pinkett Smith called for a boycott of the Academy, mostly because her husband was snubbed for concussion. Will Smith
That's
not
the
wanting to get
unofficial reason why. Come on.
that's the official reason. Will Smith not wanting to be in the
Did she?
shadow.
No, is that she didn't say that though? Did she?
It was in her it was in her statement. It was
Yeah.
part of it. So Will Smith not wanting to be shadowed, he joined in and he said, quote, "We're uncomfortable to stand here and say that this is okay." Variety went out, they interviewed John Singleton, or they got a comment. If you don't know, he was the first black director to be nominated for an Oscar in 1990. He was only 24 years old. He told Variety that it's just a lottery. There aren't enough spots. It's just what happens sometimes. And then to make things even worse, on Friday, Charlotte Rampling on the radio, who's the woman nominated for 45 years, said, quote, "It's racist towards white people," all this conversation. So the Academy, just like an hour after that news broke, they made their own news and they set out a press release, probably because of her comment, saying that they're going to change the membership rules immediately. They're setting a mandate for more diversity, and quote, they're not waiting for the industry to catch up. So part of that is that they're doubling the amount of minorities and women by 2020. They're changing the rules on how you stay a member. So if you're already a member and you haven't done anything in the last 10 years for the industry, you're probably getting kicked out. And this is kind of important because it's something like 90% of the members are Caucasian.
They're
Like,
like over 50.
yeah,
Yeah.
70% are like over 67. And then like there's like very little women, very little minority. So they're setting that up right now. The president is a woman. She's like made like three vacant spots on the board of directors. So this is something that's going to go happen really quick. And the final thing that happened was, I believe Saturday, Chris Rock said that he is staying on as a host despite all the backlash and people pressuring him to leave. And he's been busy writing new material to address Oscar So White, especially in his monologue. So we already kind of shared our opinions, but like I said,
Pretty
this
much.
is important and we got to talk
It's
about
funny.
it.
I forgot you forgot to mention the Michael Caine quote on there too, which I
I
found
didn't
pretty
even
funny.
see that one. What do you say?
He basically basically he said, "Wait, black people, your time will come. I promise." That's me
Wow.
paraphrasing. That's not
Wow.
at all what it is, but like I'm just
Well, yeah,
paraphrasing. I
Charlotte
mean,
Rampling came back and she's like, I didn't mean to say that. They
well,
took me out of
here's the
context.
thing. I don't think either of them are
They're just
necessarily wrong.
old.
The way that they in the way that they phrased it that I read of just like, hey, you know what, like but they were basically talking about it as if, oh, it's you'll get your time to be nominated. That's not the issue. The issue is that there's no diversity
Yes.
in there. I mean, and we kind of, I don't know if we did this on air or not, but it's like, well, didn't 12
It's
Years a Slave win 2 years ago? And like,
and there's been back-to-back
and
Mexican
then there's also
directors.
Crash and whatnot. It's like, I mean, my issue
Well,
with this year
that was
is
a little
not
close, but
that people of color were not nominated. So I don't have that issue for this year, but that is the problem, is that on the members themselves that make these choices, there is no
no,
diversity
that's
whatsoever.
that's not the problem.
Yeah,
The voters don't change the movies that are being made. The problem is that the studios aren't making movies with black people in them that aren't
that's a
genre
different
flicks. By
problem. Yeah.
it's the same problem. Like think about it. From this year, how many mostly black movies were there that were major productions? So we're not counting Dope here, that weren't genre flicks, but like Screen Gems, like the Right Man or whatever that
Or
movie
Tyler
was.
Perry, stuff that's specifically
Exactly,
designed
like
to appeal to a black
yeah, like
audience.
we're not talking like besides the
Because
About
that's,
Last Night
yeah,
all black movie, like Ride Along 2, which is targeted for a black demographic. There are very few movies outside of something like Creed
which is the
or
big one, yeah.
Beast of No Nations. Then I mean, you can also say Straight Outta Compton, but the Academy wasn't going to nominate that for Best Picture. It's a really good movie, but it's too long. It's like 2.5 hours. So Viola
Well,
Davis,
but if
she
you
got it
have
right.
more diversity on there, because I mean, there are people that
Yeah, it's a good
genuinely
thing.
we like the movie, but we didn't jump and praise it as great. But I'm sure if you have more
It's
diversity
two
on
and a
there,
half
not and
hours.
that doesn't have anything to do with race or gender, but just age. I doubt that people over 50 are going to praise that movie. So yeah,
Or
I mean,
they're
they
even going to see
definitely
it.
they definitely need new blood in there that's younger
It's
than
helping, but
yeah.
I'm gonna give a big quote from Viola Davis right here. THR got this from her. She said, "It's not the Oscars. The Oscars are a symptom of a much greater issue, and that's the issue of the Hollywood movie making system. How many movies are being made that have this in it?" And she points to her skin. More films need to be made where we can shine. That's the bottom line. The opportunity does not match the talent. There needs to be more opportunity. That's just it, and you have to invest in it. And what's interesting is Spike Lee basically said this exact same thing in his Facebook letter, but because headlines are the way they are, and that's what people actually listen to and not the material itself, no one even paraphrased him saying that. They just said, oh, he's boycotting the Oscars. He had to do another interview to clear that up. He said, yeah, I believe it was on Good Morning America. He said, I'm not calling for a boycott. If you got invited, go. I'm just not going with my wife. We're going to go to the Knicks game.
Yeah, well, I
And
mean, every time that Spike Lee's name is in something, they just
yeah, he's a
assume it's
controversial figure.
controversy. So it's like,
Yeah.
he's just leave him alone.
But
He's
but
there in
then
that
again,
corner.
like one of his big things was you remember when Letters from Iwo Jima and Flags of Our Fathers were out, he
Hmm.
was mad at Clint Eastwood for not including one black actor in the army, and so then he made Miracle at St. Anne, and there's not one white actor in his army. So it's just something that happens, but it is the studio's fault because if you don't make movies with not just black people but people of color with like women even, then how are you going to get nominated? Because in my opinion, there wasn't so much a problem with racism in the nominations this year, but ageism. Because we're going to be talking about them a little bit from now, but if you've seen Room, you already know how good Jacob Tremblay was.
Hmm.
If you saw Beasts of No Nations, you know how good Abraham, what was his last
Ata,
name? Atta.
right? Yeah.
Really amazing performances by kids. And sure, Tatum O'Neal might have won for Paper Moon like seriously 50 years ago now. Well, it's 45, but still, whatever. They never get nominated. That's something rare.
Well,
And they were great, and one of them happened to be black.
it is tough. I mean, when it comes to performances, I don't know. Any awards, it's like I can't. Even if one person gets snubbed, I looked at the thing and I'm like, well,
They're all
I
good
can't
too.
say, yeah, I can't say that one is necessarily better than the other.
Hmm.
That's
Well,
just from a
besides
creative perspective, though. I mean, when
Christian
you get
Bale as supporting actor is not nearly as good as Steve Carell,
yeah, hey, but it's I don't know.
but whatever.
They don't even all see the movies though
No, yeah.
that they're voting
Did
for.
you
It's a
see
flawed system, no matter what. I
Did you
think.
see James Gunn's tweet? I believe it was on Monday. It could have been Sark, but he said, or Snark rather. He was like, "What? We have to actually watch all these movies before we vote for them." It seemed like an honest tweet to me.
It's yeah, it's like well, I get that, and also it's a bummer. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like people take these award shows way too seriously than they should. But then again, at the same time, if this wasn't brought up, this is a problem in the industry that someone has to address it and get the dialogue started so that we can make the changes
And
towards
yeah,
it.
they are trying to
Yeah,
make
this
something
doesn't
happen.
answer the problem, but it is definitely a
It's
major
a step
shift. Yeah, it's one step of many steps
because
they're going to be taking, and hopefully 5 years from now, even if we're not perfect, we can definitely say, well, we're definitely better than we were, and let's keep going forward and get even better.
it's funny because if there were only one person of color out of the 20 nominated, there would be outcry because there were too few. If there were four in a category and none of them won, it would be that it was rigged. Like there's always going to be a problem, so we can look past this. And that's we got to bring in Stacey Dash's comment here. If you don't know the name, she plays the one black character. Well, there's two because Turk too, but the black friend in Clueless. Okay, and she's a Fox News personality, and she was calling for just getting rid of BET, then say NAACP Image Awards, Black History Month. She said, if you want to keep these things as tradition, then you are keeping segregation alive. Which, as much backlash as she got for saying that, and maybe because she works for Fox, I kind of agree. Like, you can't be mad because you're not being invited to these events and then have a TV network strictly for black entertainment.
Well, yeah, but I mean, is the Oscars really anything solely white?
No, that's what
Like,
I'm
I
saying.
mean, I don't know. That's the thing.
That's what this is, though. Oscars so white is what that's what the hashtag
Mhm.
means. That's what people are arguing.
I don't know. Yeah, when you get on the idea of racism and all that, I mean, I don't know. It definitely seems like entertainment is modeled that way. Like we just kind of culturally accept that. Like anything, like the Oscars, okay, it's a normal thing, and anything that is normal is basically headed by white people. Anything that is anything else, that's for the other. You
Hmm.
title it to belong to the other. I mean, yeah, and I don't know. BET, hey, it has its own niche film audience. It's not like Tyler Perry's brand name on himself. It's even if that focuses on black families, I do think I've seen some of those movies, and I'd like to say that those thematically what
They
he's trying to
can be
do it
good. Yeah,
transcends that. Yeah.
they can be. I
Yeah,
mean,
although I don't know, it's I'd say his stuff seems more. It's a bit more like melodrama at times, but that's
that's his thing.
yeah, usually his stuff you can see it like past the thematically there are universal messages in there that I think you can find at least. So I don't know what are we talking
Oh no,
about?
I got one last thing here before we get into the real news.
All right.
Um, so going back to what Will Smith said, that he doesn't like that the kids watching won't see diversity being recognized and think that the people on stage or the people that are nominated are representative of America, not just America, but also what's good media. I'm pretty sure that they would be more concerned about why Star Wars not wasn't nominated for Best Picture.
I
Star Wars is a hell
Come
of a lot
on.
better than Brooklyn.
I'd stop cherry picking one movie over the other, man. I mean,
That's the worst movie in the Best Picture
yeah,
category.
I don't know. Here's my if I've only got one fear of this whole thing is I hope that that decisions for awards for stuff like that because the Oscars, it's supposed to celebrate creativity, and I hope that yes, once we can get diversity, that these things are motivated strictly by what is
What's good and what
what
isn't.
has creative and artistic
Mhm.
merit, and not based on what is politically correct. That's why
We're
it's so
getting there.
tough to talk about this with art because yeah, Idris Elba had a great performance, and then I see the nominees. I'm like, but I don't know. I can't rank one over the other. So I don't know how is it going to work. Like, are you going to set a mandate of like, okay, well, even if it doesn't get this many votes, you have to have like at least one person of color in the
right?
nomination to have
That's
the
the
thing.
way
I don't know.
I
I don't
see
know
the.
how
That's how
we
I
do
see
this.
the way that they're restructuring the academy, saying we're going to have twice as many people of color and women by 2020. Doesn't that kind of mean that up until this point you didn't think they were deserving and you're just doing it for affirmative action
Well, then
reasons?
again, I guess that also ties into you need more performers of color that get into Hollywood finance movies as opposed to
Yeah,
just
the
getting a white.
studio has
It's
to cast people of color or make movies with scripts where the characters aren't generically white.
yeah, I mean it's such a big, it's a broad broad subject. I
I
don't know,
don't.
man.
The
I
slate
hope.
of films this year, and
Mhm.
this is the last time I ever want to talk about this on the show. The slate of films this year, despite a couple of outliers, and we've already mentioned those, there weren't many that were deserving of the biggest praise that our industry does. And it's hard to say our industry because we're not actually in it yet.
Yeah.
But, the Grammys, no one gives a shit. The Golden Globes, no one gives a shit. Like, why is this one rubbed someone the wrong way? The Emmys, no one cares. And I guess you could say, well, Viola Davis won the Emmy last year, or Gina Rodriguez won the Golden Globe last year. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. But there's been many great, talented black men and women. And I guess you could start with Hattie McDaniels, which is like one of the first
Way back,
actual
yeah.
film clips we have of the Oscars, mind you. And yes, these are choice examples, but we are changing. I mean, look how many an openly gay man won best screenplay last year.
Hmm. I
So
mean that's happened more than once too, hasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying like the industry is changing. Like it's just you can't be mad because 2 years in a row in four categories that they didn't recognize people of color. Like there is a bigger issue than that. And if you're just mad because the celebrities aren't walking away with a gold statue, then you should seriously reprioritize what's going on because Black Lives Matter was a good hashtag. Oscar So White isn't. And the fact that you're probably not talking about one of those right now and you only want to talk about the award ceremonies instead, it's sad.
I don't know. I probably one of my biggest worries just on things like this is I just hope that these things don't divide us even more.
They do,
Yeah,
which is
they tend to happen. They have the opposite effect of what they're supposed to, and that's really just what bothers me. The best thing for me as a person is just to not acknowledge it, and just I don't just treat everybody as normal. That's the best thing
I
you can do is just live by example.
I really wish we were at a point by now where we didn't have quote unquote black movies or quote unquote Mexican movies, Like just make a film. If
Seriously,
the message on hand should transcend any kind of boundary, you know? But then again, like you kind of do because you want to make a film for that particular
this
audience
is
for them to
really
like it.
what makes me curious is that when our generation is running the studio or just running the
Yeah,
world in general,
15, 20 years from now.
I seriously what because I don't know how you feel about this. I honestly do feel like I grew up in a multicultural world. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
if you feel the
I
same
mean,
way. I mean, when
I'm
we saw
from Long
music
Beach. Like
videos and
this is
everything, it was always split up. I mean, I don't know, even sitcoms like yeah, or stuff like that they had set in high schools. There would be culturally diverse characters, even though yeah, the white person would
there'd
be the
be
lead all the time, but
there'd be the
still.
Tolkien friends in the background, like
Yeah,
kind of.
I'm very very curious, like, cause I don't know. I just it's really weird growing up and hearing in elementary school. Okay, yeah, there was Martin Luther King, and then there was the movement in the '60s, and we've all gotten better since then. And then you hear about shit that's happened last year, and then you got all this. It's like, well, God, I don't know. Is it a history repeats itself thing, or what is it going to be like when we run the world? That's
This
really what
isn't
I want to
okay.
know.
This isn't exactly on topic. But I was born in Long Beach. It's one of the most culturally diverse cities in the whole country, right?
Hmm.
Like I think there's more Cambodian people here than there are in Cambodia. There's like some weird fact I've heard like that, which is probably true. I don't know. I mean, but anyway, when I was in second grade, the school I went to, I was like one of three white people, and the rest of it was black. Like that's just a fact. And I didn't feel out of place when I was there. And it was funny because right before I was there, I was going to school in Orange County, and it was the opposite. There was like three black kids, and they were all related. And that's what's weird. Like when I was on the opposite side of the mirror, I still felt like I belonged, like I was welcomed. And I don't, I couldn't imagine being the only black kids at a white school in Orange County, mind you. And maybe that, that's tinted the way that I've been raised or my experiences firsthand. But when this kind of conversation is so important for like 2 weeks now almost, it just makes me sad because,
Yeah.
like the Paris attacks weren't that long ago. It was 2 months ago, and no one's talking about that
I
anymore.
just don't know what's going on with the. I mean, yeah, this is getting way more serious. But I mean, when like, honestly, I just don't care to talk about this stuff anymore. It's like, as a human being, like, I have no reason to hate anybody. I can't be vocal about this stuff because I don't think I'm the person to spread,
Hmm.
this message whatsoever. That really the best I can do is just
Hope it
like
gets
go on
better.
and treat everybody the same and not look at someone like I'm superior to them in any way for any dumb fuck reason. Like I don't know, man.
Well, let's get into the headlines.
Yeah.
Let's talk about China. We mentioned them last week. We're going to talk about them again.
Hmm.
China's Perfect World is set to unveil a 5-year, $500 million production deal with Universal. This is huge because last week we were talking about China buying Legendary.
Hmm.
Disneyland Shanghai is about to open. It's slowly becoming a fact that China is going to be ruling the economy now,
Yeah.
especially, or at least the Hollywood economy.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, my worry, just based on their censorship rules, is like I hope that they don't dominate the industry because that would be bad for creativity for everybody.
Yeah, they actually have banned Deadpool completely in the country. It's
Well,
too much for them or something.
it does kind of make sense because I mean they don't have a rating system as far as I understand. So
It just they approve it or they don't.
yeah, they just try to make movies that are accessible for everybody and families and all that. So
That's a good thing to
yeah,
do.
so that's how it works. Like if you can see something, anybody can see it over there.
That's fair. I like that.
Yeah, so well, yeah, but then you can't do
Well,
stuff like
well,
Deadpool.
censorship. Yeah,
No, I'm not approving of their censorship, but that's
yeah,
just
yeah.
that's how they work. So it's not, I based on the rules that they have and the way that they work. Yeah, I understand that in that capacity.
It's interesting. What's weird related to this Deadpool thing? There was a petition that a mom started like a week and a half ago to make a PG-13 cut
Did
because
you
she
see
was
the
mad.
video?
No, no, no. But I know that she was mad because she doesn't want to have to wait for her kid to see the movie until it's on home video or something
Hmm.
stupid. It's like, lady, this movie is a niche. They don't make hard R comic book movies.
I will say this though, like if you watch the video, I do think she presents a really good argument and some really good. She does back up her points and justify it, but then at the same time, it's
It
like
doesn't matter because Hollywood wanted the R movie and Ryan Reynolds. This was,
I
his baby and his passion project. It was
yeah.
going to be made this way. It has to be made this way because no matter how good her argument is, the source material, Deadpool, is such a vile character that making a PG-13 version wouldn't be faithful to his characterization unless you're doing, like the X-Men Wolverine's origins type thing.
It just makes me feel bad for the kid, but I mean, she did make the argument that if you can do the Green Man trailer, then yeah, you can do a PG-13 version, and that he's a wisecracking character, and there's obviously some kiddie appeal there. So I mean, I see that argument, and I like.
She's trying to do what the Chinese are doing, okay?
Well, no, you can do multiple versions of things, and it's fine, But I don't. I guess the kid's gonna have to wait till it hits FX and they have a censored TV version.
Or you can wait 1 month and just see Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, that too. I
That
guess.
too.
Yeah, I forget about that.
Next headline here. Netflix just crossed the $75 million, sorry, not dollar, 75 million subscriber mark. That's huge. That's a global number.
Okay, I was gonna say, is that the country?
No, no, that's not our country.
Yeah.
That would be ridiculous if like 1/3
Yeah,
basically of every person watched Netflix. Um,
that's like a
so yeah,
quarter.
they're obviously being super aggressive with their new content this year. They have like we've been talking about numbers, not numbers, but the release dates like the last 2 weeks now. The last week's episode was titled Netflix Chill. Um, will their numbers ever flatten out? Is there going to get to a point where it's like everyone that wants Netflix has it and they just have no more building? Has to
I
happen eventually, right?
I
Like the next
honestly,
5 years.
what I'm thinking is just, with every with cable shifting and all these
Uh-huh.
CBS and Fox getting and Showtime having their own streaming services, I'm pretty sure that like the rights to the movies and the content that they have there, a bunch of those are
They're
going
going
to
to
revert
steal them
back.
back.
Yeah,
But
and
that's why they're making so much original content. They know that they
exactly.
can't rest on the laurels. Obviously, they're making these movies. We're going to be
And they're
talking about that in
just
a
going to
little
be
bit.
another streaming service along with everybody
Yeah.
else at some point. I
Well,
don't think they'll be that big anymore.
their thing is that because they were there first, they're still going to have these deals, and obviously they have their Disney deal
Hmm.
and Epics. They have certain collaborations that are going to last for a while. DreamWorks, that's a huge one. So they're set for the foreseeable future. It's just I wonder if they're gonna stop growing because it's like quarter after quarter, year after year, they just surpass expectations always. And they were I think the number is like $6 billion is what they're spending this year on original content. We'll be talking about that later in the show. Um,
Jesus.
yeah, related to this, HBO is going 100% streaming in Spain. By the end of the year, they're severing ties with the cable companies to compete with the rampant piracy in the area. And this isn't the first time they've done something like this. HBO Now, as it's known as, first went live. I think it was in Switzerland like 2 years ago. So I have to imagine if the subscriber base is good enough in Spain that this is going to spread to the rest of the EU, and it would set them up to be a more even competitor with Netflix.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Netflix is. I think. I don't think that they're covering all of Europe, or I know at least last year they acquired a few countries. I don't know, but
No, when we talked about this like 3 weeks ago at CES, when they announced like the additional 130 countries they're in now,
mhm.
it was most of the EU, most of Asia. Like they're basically everywhere now, besides China, like North Korea, and like that's it. Those are like the two places they don't really have access. But yeah, if you have internet in a country, they're cracking down on proxy networks to try to spoof your internet in your ISP into thinking you're a different country, which is a big thing in Australia. And so yeah, they're starting to crack down on that. So they really want to get more subscribers any way possible because they were kind of laissez-faire before. And obviously, if you have an account, you have multiple profiles on it, so they don't really care, but they do. So I have to imagine, like I said, if their numbers do start declining anytime, you have to imagine the kind of they're gonna crack down on you.
It will be so nice when all this stuff is available, like on one specific global platform, without any differences from country to country, where we all get the same thing.
It should be happening sometime.
God, I would love that. I'd love to have multiple language tracks at my disposal.
Yeah, well, we get a
You know,
couple
I'd love
now
that.
too, but it's usually just the original programming or the
Yeah,
original movies. But like almost everything they have has closed captions now, so I have to imagine more languages are gonna just like roll out more and more over time.
I'm still waiting for it. That'll be nicer than to have to wait for DVDs to just do that.
Yeah. So this is the final headline we got here. IBM is buying Ustream for $150 million. They do something kind of similar to what Twitch does. Obviously, they're owned by Amazon. So basically, IBM, they're industrial business machines. They used to be one of the biggest people in the personal computer business. They're just trying to do everything. They're trying to make, their smart cloud. If you've seen any of their really cool commercials, I don't know exactly if they're going to be leveraging this for personal reasons. I did read that it's going to be used for like conference calls and stuff, but Ustream is just everywhere. Like sports, press conferences, like big people like Sony even do it for their press conferences. And then you can just do it for personal reasons in the same way that you do Twitch if you want to live stream sewing or video game play or whatever, really. So that's pretty cheap. I think the Twitch number, um, I can't remember what it was. It was more than that, though, I believe. So we'll see if they can do something there and try to set up a more direct competition with Twitch and Google for what they're doing with the video game live streaming. So let's move into Sundance here. Probably the most interesting movie I've heard about. Stop me if you have too. the Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe movie Swiss Army Man?
No, I have not. I've actually been away from everything, so no, I don't know what's
Okay.
premiering there. I'm waiting till the festival's
Okay,
over.
so this is about Paul Dano being like stranded on an island and he's like looking for a way to get off and he finds Daniel Radcliffe's like corpse in the water and he's farting so much that he's like hydroplaning above the ocean. And so the whole movie apparently is about this farting corpse and it made multiple people walk out of the premiere. It sounds like it's right up my alley. Elizabeth Winstead's in it. It's definitely the one that's getting the most controversy so far.
Okay, I did see one tweet, and now I know
Uh-huh.
what movie it's for. But yeah, it said
Farting movie.
something. It said something along the lines of, people talk about how it's difficult to make movies with people of color or
Uh-huh.
any other minority, but you can make a movie about a farting corpse. Apparently,
Well,
it
it
was
is
something along
Sundance,
those lines.
so
I don't know if it was meant to be humorous or
I would
if,
hope it has to be humorous because
yeah.
it's Sundance. These are independently financed movies. I was gonna get to this a little bit later. I guess we'll do it now. There's a movie at Sundance called Dark Knight, which is basically about the Aurora shooting. Like there is a character who's shooting a crowd wearing a Batman mask. There's a character with orange dyed hair. Am I wrong here? Is that like really poor taste?
Eh,
Especially because it's been less than 5 years.
It's well, I don't know. Has the movie played already?
Yeah,
And how's it been received?
I didn't really look into it. I mean, I have you seen Elephant, Gus Van Sant's movie?
No,
That's
honestly,
kind of about Columbine,
the
but not
first thing
really.
that came to mind was Fruitvale Station. Like, I was wondering if that's going to
Mm,
be something
no,
like
no, I
that.
think that this is more like that was. We've talked about this before. Ryan Coogler knew the people that were shot in that incident
Hmm.
that had a lot of heart in it.
But this is
I
directly based off of.
Yeah, I think that this is just like
Okay.
a cash grab. They try to make a controversial movie, make it premiere at Sundance, get some money, get her name out there for making something that was risque.
Like, I don't know. There
Uh,
was this movie after the shooting in Isla Vista 2 years ago. There was this
oh,
trailer
you
for this
told me
movie
about this.
called
Yeah.
Del Playa, which, you know what? I'll be fair. I have not seen that movie, so it's ridiculous of me to judge. But it just felt like that was in poor taste right when that came up.
Right?
Like just based on, yeah. So I don't know. Because I don't know if the movie if Dark Knight has some clear agenda. If it's
It's fucking called Dark Knight.
well, yeah, but I mean, you don't know if it's trying to insist on anything or if it's trying to be respectful of the tragedy itself. It really I
We'll
don't. It
find
depends
out
on
if it
what
gets
it
picked
is.
up. Um, some purchases that happened, there's been a lot of them so far. Amazon, they outbid everyone for the Casey Affleck star Manchester by the Sea. The figure that's floating around is $10 million. It's getting rave reviews, like the biggest, the hottest one there. It's produced by Matt Damon. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to. It's one of those that I just want to see when it comes out. That's good. They're doing the same thing they did with both Macbeth and Chirac. They're going to set up some distribution deal and stream it on Prime whenever that happens, which is obviously going to be after it shows in theaters because I'm still waiting to see Chirac now. Fuck you, Amazon. They also purchased a Rachel Weisz, Michael Shannon drama, Complete Unknown, from the director Maria Fulla Grace. Know very little about it. I don't want to. Same story here. Here's something that I do know a little bit more about. A24, they bought a couple things. They got a film titled American Honey. It's the latest film by Andrea Arnold, who directed Fish Tank, among other things. Stars Shia LaBeouf, and it's about a group of lawbreakers on the road trying to party and find a purpose for their lives, have a good time. What's notable about this film is that it's shot entirely on location in the Midwest. It covers over 12,000 miles of road. So it should be cool. It's going to be on Amazon eventually because they have that deal with A24. So like it's like A24 got these buys and it helps Amazon anyway. A24 also got something titled Morse from America, which from what everyone said so far, it's kind of like this year's Dope. It's a coming of age movie about this black kid who is forced to move to Germany, and he dates a girl when he first gets there, trying to take his mind off of things. Craig Robinson's in it in a dramatic role. It's supposed to be really good.
That
Pierce
that sounds
Pierce
really
Brosnan
good.
said
Yeah,
it'd make
I
like
want
a
to see
really
that.
good triple feature with both dope and the whackness.
Well, you
So
just
yeah, I
said
want
kid
to
moves
see
to
this one.
Germany. I'm like right away. I'm curious.
Curious, right?
Yeah,
Black
I mean
Kid.
that's yeah. That sounds like a really good fish out of water scenario.
So we'll see if that one's actually good. It will also be on Amazon eventually, and both of these A24 pictures are going to be in the DirecTV deal, I believe that they have. So if you're a DirecTV subscriber, you will have access to these before they even hit theaters. Final acquisition we got here from the dance. Netflix has acquired stream rights to a Iranian horror film titled Under the Shadow. It was in the Sundance Midnight Sub Festival. It's like their spooky stuff. It's in Farsi. It's about jinns, which are kind of like evil spirits. Um, Sounds really good. I'm actually looking forward to this one. As far as I know, Netflix hasn't entered the horror category in the original programming. I mean, this isn't exactly original. So I don't know if this is going to be a theatrical release film. We'll see what they do. It might have like a Beast of No Nation type thing. Obviously, they didn't make this one. Well, then again, they didn't make that one either. But they definitely have the streaming rights, so I'm sure that will be out sometime around Halloween, maybe a little bit earlier. But is set to be streaming this year. That's really cool. Like usually with Sundance, you have to wait a while. Like look at like the biggest movie last year. What we call it? Me and Earl and the Dying Girl.
Hmm.
We didn't get that for forever. It took like 9 months or something ridiculous.
No,
No, it was less than that. No,
no, that
yeah,
was
we
like
got it.
6 months.
Was
Yeah.
it was
Well, that
July?
was already a Fox. Did Fox acquire that, or did they finance that?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't
Because I
know
think
for
it
sure.
was also an Indian Paintbrush
I
film, and they
remember
usually do co-productions with
its
Fox.
release was really messed up because I was waiting forever to see it. And when it did expand, then it like imploded because they tried too fast and then no one saw it. And it was gone from theaters faster than you could say where'd it go.
Yeah, it could have been the next Juno, but that didn't happen.
No, it didn't. Well, not as
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
well, I don't know about that. Good movie, not Juno. Let's move into actual movie news here. Big one, straight at the top, Furious 8, which is not being titled Fate, sadly, or Fast with an 8 instead of A. On Instagram, Vin Diesel showed off a picture for the announcement. It's Fast 8. It was titled New Roads Ahead, April 2017. The New York skyline shown in his picture, Empire State Building. So that's happening soon, about a year and some change off.
Yay.
I'm
Whatever.
kind of excited. I mean, this is the first flick in the supposed final trilogy here until they reboot it after Fast 10.
I think it's you know what? If you want to shut me up, then show me a trailer, and maybe I'll react more positively. But I don't need another one. So
Hey, they got a black director. Good for
yeah,
them.
no, good for them.
Good for them.
But but I mean, really, I mean, just make a good movie like that.
Well,
That's it. Okay, so
Fury 7 was good, so. I mean, they had a lot of baggage going into it and a lot of emotional beats that they were able to hit for sad
I have
reasons.
issues with that movie that I think don't have to do with either of which. But yeah, for what they had to deal with, like absolutely, I applaud them for that.
So we'll see where this one goes. We'll see where F. Gary Gray takes it. What's up with that naming scheme? We talked about this last time when F. Gary Gray got attached. So just in the more recent films, Fast and Furious, Fast Five, Fast and Furious.
You don't have to name them all. There's no logic to it. Like it's literally just. I'm sure it's 2 minutes that they meet in a boardroom. Less than that, and they just go.
Right?
What do you want to call it?
Is it Fast
which
Six,
which word did
Furious
we
6,
use
or is it
last
Fast
time?
and Furious 6?
Yeah, it's like we used just fast like what 3 movies ago. Okay, let's bring that one back.
It doesn't make sense.
Hey, this franchise doesn't need it to though. Which I mean, how many
I'm a fan.
franchises can do that? Really?
None really. And it all started with Rob Cohen, so let's talk about him. He's set to direct Category 5, which actually sounds really cool. It's a hybrid between the heist film and disaster genre. It's about a group of thieves that are attempting to rob a U.S. bank, U.S. mint location when a Category 5 hurricane is approaching. So there's only two people left in the town to stop them: a treasury agent and a meteorologist. It kind of sounds like San Andreas, but with that heist angle going for it.
It does sound really cool, but
It sounds cool.
but you just had to say Rob Cohen. You know I'm not a fan.
You
I
know
mean,
I am. So
if it I the best I can say is Rob Cohen. I hope you make a good movie, but I mean, Yeah, just
suck that.
in my experience, every time he's made something that's had any potential to be cool, he's just sucked the life out of it for me.
Fast and Furious is at its eighth movie now. Triple X 3 is about to come out.
Hmm.
Maybe this could be his new one
It's
that I'm
funny
a
that
fan of.
he's been responsible for jump-starting these franchises, and yet they want nothing to do with him.
I don't think
So
that's a personal thing. He
I,
kind of fell off the map. He was like doing nothing.
yeah, no,
So,
no. I
but
mean, and what did he get financed? Alex Cross and the Boy Next Door. Like he's
hey,
doing
that movie's supposedly good.
what? The Boy Next Door.
Yeah,
It's terrible from what I heard.
I don't. I think maybe I like trashy things. Our friend
Yeah, no, Alex
Brandon
Cross is
over at
bad, by the way.
Scream 101 podcast like that one.
Really?
Yeah, so I might check it out. It's Jennifer Lopez and it's Ryan Guzman, and I really like him in those final two Step Up movies. Staying on big name directors, Sam Raimi, he's in talk to direct a remake of The Prophet for Sony. This is I can't remember the name, where the origin of the country now. I believe it's Farsi. It's Iranian flick. It's a prison movie about a man becoming a mafia kingpin in the joint. So this would be a return to his crime stuff, which oddly enough is kind of like The Gift, and also
Simple Plan.
A Simple Plan. Yeah. So he hasn't done anything since the Wizard of Oz reboot attempt that kind of was a misstep. So hopefully this gets him back on his feet and he can do something else because he's done some good work with stars for their Ash vs. Evil Dead show, the pilot of which he directed, and it was really fun. So I'd really like it if this was a success for him and he could finally get revenue to make more weird stuff again.
Sure.
Other names, Mick G might be the one to direct the Masters of the Universe reboot. Can you even say reboot? They only made one movie previously.
Revival,
How
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like maybe that's the right word. I still have to see that '87 movie with Dolph Lundgren. It is on Netflix. It might be a Death Cinema pick very soon.
Is that a Golden Globus production?
I have no clue. I know like nothing about it other
I
than
don't know either, other than it's just Dolph Lundgren and it's a Masters of the Universe movie, and
who's the villain. It's
I don't
someone.
know.
Oh, I know. It's shit. I believe it's Count Dooku.
Christopher Lee?
I believe it's Christopher Lee. I think he plays Skeletor. Yeah. So isn't that good enough reason to check it out?
Maybe, I don't know, but
I don't know.
whatever.
Other directors though, we got lots of them this week. J.C. Chandor, who you might not know the name, you might know his work though. All is Lost in a Most Dangerous Year. He's adapting the 2010 Austrian award winner The Robber. This is a true story about a marathon runner using his athletic ability to rob banks. This sounds like it could be really good. I haven't seen either of his known films, but I do know that they're downtrodden, very serious. So I don't know how that would fit here. This seems like it has to be a funny movie to work well,
No, I
but
think,
I do want to see a trailer.
yeah, between Most Dangerous, I was about to say Most Dangerous Game. I forgot the fucking, or
Dangerous
A Most
Year.
Violent Year. That's what it is, yeah. And All
I know
Is
All
Lost.
is Lost.
They're
There's
they're
no
very
dialogue.
different movies, so I'm sure not knowing anything about his resume other than that, just guessing, it seems more like he's kind of like Danny Boyle in that he does something that's different every time or tries to.
Let's see.
That's a guess, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a guess for me too. I still have to see
Yeah.
both of those
I mean, they're
films.
both
They're-
very different movies,
Well,
so
the All Is Lost is on Netflix, where it might be still. They might both be on Amazon. I think they're both Epic deals.
A Most Violent Year is an A24 film, so I think it's
Yeah, so
on,
that one's on
yeah,
Amazon and Epics. Yeah,
and Hulu.
I have to check that one out. I know it's supposed to be good. It's Oscar Isaac. It's Poe Dameron, so it can't be bad. Other directors here. We got two more. Antoine Fuqua, who's still fresh off of Magnificent Seven for Sony, is being brought in again from them to direct this film called Wolf Boys. It was in this big bidding war, and that Sony finally won. It's being called The Goodfellas of Mexico. The novel is coming out later this year. It's yet another hot cartel property because of El Chapo. Supposedly, that's the reason why everyone wants Mexican stories here. Yay? I don't know. I don't know what to think about this because he hasn't really made anything great in a while. But it'd be really cool if you could make like the Mexican version of Training Day.
I'm there with you, yeah.
So we'll see.
There's not much for me to say.
Yeah, not much for me to say either. Just news. Final director news here. Greta Gerwig is set to make her directorial debut. It's called Lady Bird, and she has a great actress to star, Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse.
Saoirse.
Yeah.
If I see something written a certain way, I want to say it that way.
No,
Like I make the notes, especially when you read the news. Like how often do people say her name? Especially me.
they
Like
all
say
get
it
it wrong,
correctly.
I'm sure. No, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's Saoirse.
Well, this sounds
Like
interesting.
I think I heard her say it that way once, but I don't know. That's the way I've
She
been
has an
seeing it. Yeah.
accent too. Greta Gerwig, she wrote the story also, and it's about a high school senior's final year in Sacramento. I'm guessing she's going to college or something. But she's had really good collaborations with directors in the past, not just the Duplass brothers.
hmm
Um, but
Noah Baumbach.
yes, thank you. So we'll see if she's picked up any tools here. I'm excited. If you got someone who's got a lot of hype right now signed on already before she even gets the Oscar, well, if she gets it anyway, we'll see. I'm sure that this will be making the festival circuit in the coming year. So just straight up movie news here. No more director stuff. Jennifer Lawrence, she's set to star in a movie, Sal Marita, for Sony. It's a biopic about a concentration camp survivor who was Fidel Castro's lover at 19 and approached by the CIA to help assassinate him. I don't really see her in that role. We'll see what happens.
It's nice that she's with X-Men ending and Hunger Games ending that she's at least challenging herself.
Yeah,
So I mean, yeah, that is the best thing that you can say. But yes, we shall see. I mean,
sounds really
that's a big leap.
interesting.
So I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens.
I mean, I think it really matters who they get to play Fidel Castro if she can bring it. It's probably going to be Bradley Cooper with a spray on tan. Just be honest here. David O. Russell's going to direct it. We already know. John C. Riley and Steve Coogan. This is really
You could
cool.
have
They're
said
going to,
Edgar Ramirez, but
maybe. I don't think he's old enough. John C. Riley and Steve Coogan, they're becoming Laurel and Hardy in the movie Stan and Ollie. It's a BBC film. It's about the twilight years of the iconic comedic duo. It's being written by the scribe for Philomena. I really like that movie. This is also a true story. John C. Riley, he's been doing a lot of different stuff lately. That's kind of his whole career. He never stays with one thing. Like Steve Coogan, I think they're going to have really good chemistry. This movie seems interesting. It's not one of those traditional biopics. It's like, well, here's their final day. It's kind of like, what was the movie I was thinking of? There's something similar to this. Kind of like a Gods and Monsters, Bryan Singer movie, where it's the ending of a career. So it's a biopic in a way, but not necessarily.
it's just more of the culmination of everything.
Yeah. So we'll see. There's no date on this. It's just an announcement. And this is a sad one. They're making because the industry only is sensitive to racism. Sony has announced a remake of Labyrinth already, even though David Bowie just passed. It has the co-writer of Guardians of the Galaxy, Nicole Perlman, adapting it for the 21st century. I really don't see the point. It's a cult classic. They already tried to make a sequel to it, the Neil Gaiman penned Mirror Mask, which is really interesting movie. Dave McKean directed it. Really, he's a really great artist. I don't know what they're trying to do here.
I think beyond David Bowie's passing, it's probably maybe this was in development before and they're just kicking it up. It's one of those things of, oh, it's an 80s property and people are nostalgic for that. Let's
People care about Bowie right now. Let's
yeah,
just
so
try to
let's take
leapfrog on
advantage
that.
of that. Hey, which
It's
just
not the
silence,
best
yeah.
movie,
That
and I think I'll only approve of the remake if the Jim Henson Company is involved to do if they have their puppet workshop, if they create the designs, sure. But unless they go for a really different angle, I don't even see who could replace the Goblin King.
if Benedict Cumberbatch is cast as the Goblin King, I will show up.
I can't see him
I would
singing
do it.
Dance Child Dance. More casting news here. Kevin Spacey's joining Nicholas Hoult in the J.D. Salinger movie, the biopic Rebel in the Rye, we talked about months ago. So it's proof that becoming studio head isn't slowing him down. He has Baby Driver, Edgar Wright's next movie down the road. So good for him. I don't remember what role he's playing in the film. I think he's going to be like a mentor for Salinger in the script. I'm not sure, but just good that he's not getting his way set with the relativity paperwork probably pending in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Less about casting here. Tarantino is doing Australian Junket for Hateful Eight. He's really pushing it down under, and he was getting really comfortable with interviewer. and he told him that while all of his films are in a shared universe, some of them and the ones that he uses as examples are Kill Bill and From Dusk Till Dawn, only exist on the silver screen. So it's like obviously, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, and Inglourious Bastards, those characters have ties to one another. But Kill Bill and From Dusk Till Dawn are the movies that they see when his characters in universe go to the movies, which kind of makes sense because people saw that about Kill Bill, that it's more filmic or not beautiful, but definitely more not graphic, but it seems
More
like it was
cartoonish.
yeah, it's like the fact that you can bring your samurai sword on a plane.
So this is
Okay.
still a world where Hitler was pumped full of bullets by Eli Roth in a movie theater.
Yes,
All right,
by
cool.
the Bear Jew.
That's
Yeah,
that's it. That's all I need.
that's it.
Yeah.
And so they see these really weird stripper movies about vampires in Mexico. Rough titties, fat pussy. Like, I wish I had that Cheech
You know
Marin
what?
dialogue
I'm
memorized.
curious if True Romance would count as that, just because it's Tony
Oh
Scott, so
yeah,
it's so hyper
what
stylized
is it?
compared to Quentin.
The You just mentioned him, Eli Roth's character, the Bear Jew.
Hmm.
He is the uncle of the studio head in True Romance. That's the connection there.
Oh,
Yeah, and then was like there was one brought up for Django, not Django. I mean, Eli Roth's character in Hateful Eight is related to
Eli
someone.
Roth's character in Hateful Eight?
Not Eli Roth. I mean, no, 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 no. The other Roth. Excuse me.
Tim Roth.
Yes. I can't remember the connection there. It's too hard. You need like a map to point them all to one
Oh,
another.
Quentin's got one, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. I think that the only one where there aren't any connections is Jackie Brown, and that's because that's not original. It's an adaptation. But even still, I'm sure that there's something in the background. Someone says a line or looks a certain way, but it's not as obvious as, Jungle Julia talking about Big Kahuna Burger in Death Proof.
Hmm.
Moving on back to Sony, they did a lot this week, and we're not even halfway done. They're bringing in T.J. Fixman, which is a really funny name for what he's doing here, to write the Popeye script. He's a man about town. He's been working all over the place, most notably as a story plotter for Insomniac Games, which has a really healthy relationship with Sony. So he helped write the original Ratchet and Clank games. He also penned the script for the movie that's coming out in just a month or two from now. I think it's April. So I guess they got the rights to Popeye a while ago, so I'm pretty sure they want to make this happen before something bad does. It's gonna be CG. They're not doing another one of those weird Robin Williams movies in the 1980s. Have you seen
I
that?
have not. Isn't that technically a Disney movie? Or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I believe it's a Hollywood Pictures production. It might be just Walt Disney Studios, but yeah, really weird. Um, Robin Williams looks the part though,
I
and
I want to see it. I know it's an odd cinematic treasure, but yeah, I have to get to it at some point.
like that's kind of like the beginning. Where I guess technically that happened like right after or not Star Wars, or right after the Superman. So maybe that was like the first attempt for someone else to make a big budget like comic book adaptation.
Yeah, no, that's with a major director attached too. That's Robert
Major
Altman. Yeah.
director, yeah, Robert Altman, like major stars. You got Shirley MacLaine playing Olive Oil. I can't remember who plays
Oh, it's
Brodus,
not
the bad guy.
it's not fuck, what's
Shirley
her
Long,
name?
not
Shelley
MacLaine.
Duvall.
Yeah, Duvall. I'm bad with names, you know this.
No, is it
Um,
Shelley Duvall?
yeah, it
Okay,
is.
yeah, I
Yeah,
was
from
gonna say because
Shining.
that is
Yes.
perfect casting.
I saw it as a kid. I don't remember it. It's one of those things I want to check it out. Yeah, it's like Dick Tracy. I know I have to see that eventually. Because Disney also did that as well. Just before Hollywood could get the superhero movie correct. I mean, obviously there's a Superman franchise that might have petered off after the third one, and the Batman films, and the same is true only for the first two. Even if I feel differently about Batman Forever, so just weird outliers in history. Final piece of movie news here, and it's more than movies. It was going to be a headline, but you weren't the one to talk to about it. David Hunko was supposed to join us again. He had plans pop up. But Yasin Bey, aka Mos Def, he posted a freestyle slash voice message on KanyeWest.com in which he retired not only from the music industry, but Hollywood and also as a public figure. So he had very personal reasons. Hopefully, he has a final album releasing sometime this year. It's sad because he was a really good actor. Hopefully he changes his mind, but I totally get it if he doesn't. What's your favorite performance from him, if you have one?
I don't know. You go first. Give me time to think about this one.
Like It's probably Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I really like him as Ford Prefect. As in my mind, when I read the books, I didn't see him as the character, but he really does bring that wacky sense to it. He's also really good in 16 Blocks.
I never
With
saw that.
you didn't see that?
No.
It's an interesting premise. Like, it's basically in real time. It's just like Bruce Willis has to take Mos Def 16 blocks through the city, and everyone's coming after them. Like all the gangsters, they have a hit out on him.
Honestly,
He did a
like
lot of stuff,
I'm trying to
even
think like the
serious
first
things.
the first thing that came to mind when you said Mos Def, and I think it's the only thing that I've seen that I liked is a Be Kind Rewind.
He's great in that
Yeah, I
too.
mean that's a fun movie, but I don't know, I just can't think of anything else. I wasn't that big into Hitchhiker's Guide. Like I don't know, I kind of forgot that movie honestly.
More sad about the music, to be honest. Like he started his career
Yeah,
as the second half of Black Star with Talib Kweli. I was lucky enough to see them on tour at Club Nokia when they did that tour a while ago. So it was like Mos Def did a solo thing, Talib did a solo thing, and then they did all their Black Star songs because they only have one album. But they peaked out like a second album years ago, mind you, and I guess that's never going to happen. But yeah, it was just like one of those really strong hip hopas that crossed over to film pretty flawlessly, and he did a lot of stuff both on TV too with like the Boondocks. He was in Dave Chappelle's Block Party. He did some stand up stuff. So yeah, I hope he gets public, not public, but he gets some justice in South Africa and everything's worked out. We got to move into the next category here. There were so many moves that happened on the calendar this week that they're getting their own section. So the big one here is that, surprise, surprise, Star Wars Episode 8 has
we
been
called
pushed
it.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, we called it, but it's officially moved to December 15th, 2017, opening exactly against Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg's next movie after the BFG.
Which is going to change, but of course this triggered an entire
Yeah,
shift on the
a
calendar.
cavalcade. But let's just stop and talk about Star Wars. We knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're not the only ones. Force Awakens broke so many damn records that did you really think they were going to try to do it again in May? It worked for them. As Peter Screder pointed out, they sold so many damn toys over Christmas that there's no way they were going to risk that again. They want that Christmas money.
Beyond that, though, I think it makes sense just with how much time they'll have to do it in post, because Force Awakens wrapped in December of 2014.
Yeah,
So
they
they had
rushed that thing.
yeah, so they spent a really long shoot, and they had like practically a year to work in post. Whereas
Well, they didn't
Episode
even have
8,
the
they
final
still
cut.
haven't even finished, or I mean, they haven't
They
even
haven't even
started.
started.
Yeah, so
Yeah. They've done principal, but they're not starting until like 6 days from now. Okay, is next month, but they're not starting until sometime early February.
yes, I mean that would give them more time to. I don't know how long the shoot's going to be. I'm guessing something like
Th-
7 months or something, 8 months.
Something like that. But think about it. They've already had episode 7 in Christmas.
Hmm.
Rogue One's gonna be Christmas. This one's Christmas.
Yeah, no, they're making
This
a
makes
tradition
sense.
now.
Yeah. And so I tweeted this out from our account. Does that mean that there's going to be another Star Wars holiday special at some point in the road? Ryan Johnson's announcement. Do you see this tweet? He posted
Yeah,
like
no,
a Star Wars Christmas song.
that was funny.
It's going to happen, right?
No,
I
yeah,
would
no
love
doubt.
to see
but
one.
when you say holiday special, just the thing that you expect
Yes.
is something to be that horrible. No,
Yes.
I'm sure that there will be something more kid friendly, like put out on Disney Channel or broadcast on ABC or something with
Let me
more
see it.
protection and care
see,
being
like-
put into it, because Lucas was not involved in the holiday
Let's
special.
see like a Pixar made for TV special like they kind of do for their Toy Story stuff.
Mhm.
Or like Star Wars Rebels or one of those.
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll do something. I'm sure.
I think they have to. Maybe they'll do it like the inverse and they'll make a Memorial Day special on TV.
Yeah.
Something weird.
The thing that makes me kind of sad though is that James Cameron is just not gonna get that.
I'll save that segue just for a second.
Alright.
So yeah, a lot of moves happened. Pirates of the Caribbean has taken Star Wars Episode 8's original one of May 26th. And so yeah, with Ready Player One being up against Episode 8, it doesn't give room for Episode 2. But I don't think it's going to be happening anyway. They haven't solidified a date. They only announced it, like, what was it, a month ago that it might be coming Christmas 2017. It doesn't have to. Why doesn't it just come out in the summer now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it won't have a chance to be that event thing. Like, it's easier, I guess,
It's
to
gonna
put that
be
out
an
before
event.
Christmas, but
it's gonna be an event regardless of when it's
Oh,
released,
we'll
and you
see,
got to
but I
remember
think I doubt it'll be the next highest grossing film of all time now,
it
for
doesn't
sure.
have to be
Yeah,
because whenever they release it, for the 2 years following that, they're gonna have a sequel on the same date. So obviously, Star Wars put their stake there, and as Disney isn't trying to get them, they're not trying to gut them. And I'm going to reference
yeah.
Pierce Brosnan again here for Slash Film that you brought to my mind. Disney has a long-lasting relationship with Lightstorm. They're making Avatar Land at Disney World. They've been in the process of doing this like basically since 2010. And so if they have that big of a stake in a franchise, they wouldn't be trying to put their new franchise against it. It'd be a loss.
Hmm.
If they win, they lose.
Yeah.
So I'm sure before they made this, and people online were calling the Star Wars thing. They didn't say a move. They said it's been delayed. That's not what happened. They realized that they wanted to do it. This
Yeah.
was foresight. It's their fault that they made the release date before the movie
Well, the
came
thing
out.
that's really smart about this too is that this was supposed to come out 3 weeks after Guardians of the Galaxy 2, so that would be
Yeah,
two Disney space operas within the same month. I mean,
it's just stupid.
yeah, and they would have basically gutted their own box office right there.
It
So,
would have been just like The Good Dinosaur, Inside Out. It was only came out like 3.5 months away from
no,
each
that
other.
it was much farther than that, I think. But
4 months,
also,
4 months.
I mean, Good Dinosaur came out Thanksgiving weekend for an animated film like that. That's never been a good weekend for animation or just for kids movies in general that have a big budget. Like the smaller stuff, yes, but that came out weeks after the Peanuts movie. So
Yeah,
there was a bit of a, I want to say, an animation fatigue there. We talked about this.
we did talk about
Don't get me
this. Yeah.
started on Good Dinosaur. You know
Well,
I'll
hey, it
talk
made
about
my
it
list
forever.
too. Made my list too. So yeah, more moves. As I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Jumanji. Okay, Sony's making the remake. Last week we were talking about how rushed it is that they got Jake Kasdan and he was releasing it by this Christmas. It turns out that they knew to do something different.
He probably signed on expecting them to change something right away. I'm guessing
Well,
now.
it's happened
Yeah,
anyway.
like, I mean, this
Uh,
happened right after he signed on, since we
so
talked about it.
as I said, it was like it just happened. Like all of it was on Twitter at the exact same time. So Star Wars has moved to Christmas 2017. Pirates of the Caribbean moved up to May 26th to take Star Wars' spot. Jumanji has now moved to Pirates' old spot. Um, and in relation to that, their Spider-Man reboot of a reboot has been pushed forward a week to July 7th, 2017. So yeah, it's very good. Jumanji's given an extra like 3 months now to breathe.
No, more than
Which
that, like 7 months.
no, Jumanji.
Yeah.
I believe was it 7? I don't have the date here.
No, it was going to be December. Now it's July of 2017, right?
No, that's where Jumanji's moved.
Yeah,
Is it
7 months later.
July?
I think it's, yeah, it's 3 weeks after Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. Spider-Man is July
Yeah,
7th
so it's
now.
got
It used
7 to 8
gotcha.
months.
That's good.
Yeah,
I mean, I still doubt that they're going to be able to top Robin Williams, but
they'll get it out there. So they'll be able to finish
it's
that
gonna be
movie.
better than it was, at least as we
Yeah.
anticipated it last week. So if those moves weren't enough, here's one that's completely off the calendar altogether. Paramount has yanked the Terminator Genesis follow-up from its calendar. It's been replaced with their Baywatch adaptation. It's sad because not Baywatch, Paramount is re-releasing Terminator 2 in 3D this year.
Is it Paramount? Like,
I believe
do they
so.
have the
Wouldn't
rights
they?
to the entire franchise, or just like,
I don't know. Don't they own the rights to the originals?
I don't know how that works, because like
It's a weird
every
question
home
because
video
like
release,
Universal
yeah,
Studios.
they're kind of split up. Like I think a while back it was MGM had the first one, and then Lionsgate had the second one, and then Warner Brothers had the third one and the fourth one, and I don't know how these things work.
I was gonna say Universal Studios had the Transformers show, so who knows? But like, people are curious online that if this means that they're done with the franchise, which I hope so, because if China didn't intervene and give them a whole bunch of success, then it would have been a huge disaster
Well, they could
of a film.
intervene and get it greenlit to get going again.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, this is Paramount, not Universal. They don't own them yet, but maybe. I mean,
I mean, they
Paramount's
might
doing
be
so
willing to
badly.
like have Paramount distribute, and then they put up more money for it, something like that. I don't know.
But the idea is here that if they're not following up this franchise reboot, or not reboot, but
You know what's funny? Did you
reboot.
I saw Matt on Letterboxd. I follow Matt Singer. I mean, this is unrelated, but yeah, I
Uh,
saw his re-review of Terminator Genesis, and I mean, you remember we
Genesis.
Yeah, we did give credit to the script though, and for things that it
It
was
was a good
doing.
script.
It was just it had a
They fucked
fairly
up.
pedestrian action. It just wasn't.
It wasn't just
It
that.
wasn't really
I
exciting.
re-listened to this interview, or not this interview, this episode when we were doing the YouTube conversion this week. It was the marketing.
Yeah, that
It was
too.
the way that they let you know John Connors was a Terminator
But
from the
it's
get-go. Not
funny
just in the
though.
trailers, but also in the
It's
posters.
funny because I mean I think we back then we sort of referenced to the fact that Star Wars might be the same thing, and yeah, you think about it,
It
it
is.
is. Yeah, they both
It's just they did it with a lot more
they
heart.
both have a
There
male
wasn't a cash
lead
grab.
that thinks he's got to protect the female lead, and she's like, "What? No, I can take care of myself."
And she kicks
You
ass.
got the old cast member, the old
Yeah, the Han
veteran,
Solo.
yeah,
Comes
Arnold
back
and
with
Han
all
Solo.
grayed
Yeah,
out. And
there's
it's
just
a
so many
pretty similar
parallels
movie.
there. It's pretty funny.
I mean, it's not the only one. This year also, we had
Creed.
shit. I think, well, yeah, not just Creed, but I guess you could kind of say Furious 7 too. But yeah, definitely Creed. Like, it happened more than once this year. It's just everyone's blinded by Star Wars because it's so good. It even compared to Creed, it's
Star Wars has like those little things that it's having more fun with behind the camera.
well, it has BB-8, so
That's it. Well, no, I mean they're trying to be creative like in every single frame and just to ooze out some joy through there. That's J.J. Abrams, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people online are wondering if because Paramount is stalling a follow-up, and who knows what Skydance's stance is in this. Maybe James Cameron gets the rights back to his franchise that started his career. That'd be really cool. If he, I'm sure he would just throw out Terminator 3, Salvation, Genesis, like everything, and just make a actual sequel to Terminator 2.
Or he would just produce it. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, he was such a big fan of Genesis that I don't know. I wonder what his reaction would be like to be a fly on the wall in Lightstorm when he read about this. He probably just laughed. Like no one can get it right, just me. That's why I'm making Avatar. Speaking of James Cameron, Strange Days, you guys should check that out. We have a Death Cinema episode for that. A really interesting James Cameron movie
Did
that could
you
have been huge.
completely unrelated? And I'll probably cut this out to not sound like a dick, but your list of 52 films by women.
Yeah.
Did you see my comment on that?
No.
Okay, you got to take Strange Days out just because of a technicality.
It was New Year's
No,
Eve.
no, 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 no. That was last year. You saw it last year.
Who
You
hey,
saw it
hey,
last year. I'm sorry, but based on a technicality, you got to take it
Who
off.
says where the 52 films by women has to start?
Hey, it says I'm curious to see how many I'll watch this year just by happenstance.
Some people consider New Year's Eve.
It
Look,
was 2
don't you
days. It was
celebrate-
a day
You
before New
celebrate
Year's Eve.
Jesus' birthday on Christmas Eve,
It was
right?
the day before New Year's Eve. So,
I'm leaving it. You saw what my list is, right?
yeah, you've only got 5 movies on there.
No, no. Let me pimp this out. I am not doing the 52 films by women in the way that the internet is. I'm going to list every movie that I see just by happenstance if it has a female director on my list. I'm not going, what am I watching next week? I really like female directors. Oh, this one, Monster.
Yeah.
No, no, no. I'm just watching the
No,
movies.
it's better to
'Cause
just see if a
if
movie
you see
interests you
something-
and to see
yeah. By happenstance, by actual interest in a film, that's far less sexist, and you don't have an agenda, literally.
Like I think that'd be far more interesting if you did that and classified in like a bunch of different categories. Like white male director, female
Mm-hmm.
director, director of color, or yeah, just to see
Trace what kind of films you
yeah,
watch.
just to see at the end of the year how that turns out. That would be
I mean, that's
far
based
more
on a
revealing
book.
about the industry, I think.
Because I think that this, I mean, not to tie back to Oscar So White, but if you're doing 52 films by women just to look progressive or to
people
feel
do.
like, I know people are, but that's counterintuitive.
Hey, in the
It's-
words of Jeff Winger, I think not being racist is the new racist.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if the people making those lists are going to include, like, Punisher Warzone or something out of left field. Because Alexi Alexander, like, that's... You would not imagine that's a female-directed film. It's the opposite of what they're usually kind of
No,
advertised
but I mean her
as.
films kick ass though. Like, I mean,
Oh, no,
you
her
know
movies do
did
kick
you see Green Street Hooligans?
Yeah, and then she
Yeah.
also...
Now,
she
you know
directed,
she's
like,
a
an episode
kickboxer,
or
right?
two. I did not know that. She's directed an episode or two of Supergirl as well. So I'm sure she has something down the pipeline. She's got to have something coming out. But like, where do you draw the line? You know, like what kind of movies are you watching? Because I could just watch like every Nancy Meyer movie again, you know,
Yeah.
or you know, like there's so many examples of what you can do. And it's like, well, what's your point? That not enough people watch female directed films, and so you want to make a list of the
Yeah,
ones
I
that
mean,
you
you're just making it about, oh, like proving that it's
you can
about
do it.
politicizing the issue rather than enjoying the movie for what it is supposed to be. And
Yeah,
movies are supposed to transcend these arguments.
exactly.
They
So
can
I'm trying to.
fiction can inform them, but it should be better than that. So yeah, I think
Yeah, my
your
list is
prerogative
the
is way better.
antithesis. Yeah, so you should do it too. Everyone out there should do it. Do the anti 52 films by women. You know, it's go see Wonder Woman when it comes out next year.
We're
Watch
gonna be
those
seeing
films.
it anyway. So I don't do I
This is
yeah.
back to the calendar though. There's some real news on Universal's Monster Universe. We talked a while ago that The Mummy might be getting Tom Cruise. It's true. He's officially starring. They also moved the date. The reboot is bowing June 9th, 2017. So that's when their rebooted shared monster universe is actually going to start. We'll see if Dracula Untold fits that thing. And final calendar move we got here, Warner Brothers, they pushed the Guy Ritchie's King Arthur flick back a month to March 24th, 2017. So this is all in relation to Star Wars moving. It changed the whole calendar, not the biggest movies across the board, but some pretty big ones. Like these, all the ones that we mentioned right now, besides Jumanji, are tent poles. Especially the King Arthur Guy Ritchie movie. That's supposed to be the first in a 5-picture franchise. Like I don't even think that Lancelot's going to be in the first film.
I don't even know how they're planning on doing that. I don't even know if that movie is going to do well enough to necessitate an entire franchise to keep going,
Right,
though.
right now they're trying to make a
They're going
franchise.
for it, but I just don't know if it'll
Look
work
at
out.
did you see Disney's King Arthur movie in like 2004 with Clive
Yeah, the
Owen?
Anton Fuqua one.
Did he do
Yeah,
that? I didn't know that. That movie
I thought it
was
was
not.
okay.
It wasn't Orlando Bloom, Lancelot.
No, that was
He played someone, right?
no, I don't think it was Orlando Bloom.
I know.
Okay,
All
I
I
know
remember.
Clive Owen was
Yeah, he's King
yeah,
Arthur, and then shit, what's her name?
Keira Knightley.
Yeah, Keira Knightley was
Yeah.
Guinevere.
I th
I don't remember anything else.
it was fuck. What's his name? The guy that played Mr. Fantastic in the
Oh, I can't pronounce his
yeah,
name.
I can't either.
Ian Grafraud.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that guy though.
That movie was not good. Let's move to TV
Just
here.
one more thing.
Sure.
Going back to the 52 films by women. While you were talking, I just looked at my letterbox list of seeing how many films I've seen
How
this
many?
year. All of them
Yep,
are by
right.
white directors, with the exception of The Revenant. That's it.
And
Unless
I
you want to
mean,
count Mississippi Grind, but that's a
well, I
duo
counted
right
that.
there. Yeah.
I counted that though.
I
I'm
know
counting it
you
as
did.
half.
Technically, that does count, but
It's
it's like,
half.
okay, yeah, that technically is a duo too when you get down to it. But yeah,
I'm at 4.5.
every
Okay.
movie I've seen this year, by except for The Revenant, it's by a white director. So
That's
yeah,
Hollywood. I mean,
there's the
there's
industry
not
problem right
many
there.
people of color getting directing gigs or acting gigs for that matter, especially in things that lots of people see.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's all white dudes over 40.
we're almost there. Yeah, sad times. Talking about other white directors over 40, Kevin Smith. He's making the jump to TV again. He just wrapped production on a pot dispensary sitcom titled Hollyweed. He wrote, directed, he's starring in it. It's produced in collaboration with 5 financiers that are all in the medical marijuana business. The creator of the G Pen, Raw Rolling Papers, et cetera, et cetera. It's one of many projects in development currently that are similar. We talked about the Margaret Cho one on Amazon, and there's like 4 other ones. There's like 2 set in Colorado. So this is going to be like a new thing, and I guess you could kind of say that Genji Cohen's Weeds back in the day on Showtime was responsible for this. I'm excited to see this. We don't know if it's just going to be a pilot. It could become a TV show. Who knows if Kevin Smith will be starring in it? I doubt it.
The article
But
I read was that he was one of the co-stars in it.
no, he's the star. Like it's him playing a clerk. It's
Yeah, no,
like
it's him and another guy.
thing,
That's what I read.
yeah, well, yeah, but like the thing I read, it's basically him playing Dante this time. Or not Dante,
Or
I mean
Randall.
Randall.
Yeah.
He's actually Randall. Like he didn't write it and hand it off to someone because he was too afraid. Like he's in the twilight of his career. Like yeah, he has Yoga Hosers that just premiered today, which I
Or
can't
it's
wait
about
to
to
see.
screen right now, I think.
Yeah, like right now. I can't wait to see that.
Did you see the
But
clip?
no, don't want to.
I don't
No,
know.
I saw like a Guy Lafont memoir where it's like it says something like like helping out the manatee, and it's like man dash a T. Um,
Well, just based on that
Definitely
clip,
wants.
I will say this: at least he's trying something different. I don't know if it's going to pay off, but at least he's not.
I mean,
Yeah,
his last couple of films have been all very
yeah.
different. Couple of Cop Out, sorry, um, Red State, Tusk, and well, I did see the Super Groovy cartoon hour, which was really bad.
I don't think that was him. That was just him in a producer capacity.
He's definitely involved.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to see this. Who knows if it's gonna get picked up? It might just be like a one-off pilot movie. I'd still be interested in that. It's not his first time doing a pilot. He directed shit, what's the name of it?
Reaper.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. I like that show. I watched it for a couple episodes. So he
yeah. It
does
was
have his
good
hand
for a
in
while.
TV. It was good for a while. Like, it was a fun CW
Mm.
show. But yeah, he's obviously doing Comic Book Men, and Fat Man on Batman is now a YouTube show through like Screen Junkies basically. So he's really reinvented himself not just as a podcaster but also as a TV personality. Like I talked about last week watching the CW DC's what is it called, like Justice League,
The
like Dawn of
the
the Justice
preview
League
for the
thing.
DC shared
Yeah,
universe. Yeah.
universe, and he was a really good host on there, like surprisingly good. Like whatever they paid him was definitely not enough. Like they should definitely keep him on to do similar things. I like seeing him on the small screen, I think, more than on the big screen. But yeah, I can't wait to see this. Can't wait to see who picks up Yoga Hosers and find out when that comes to our theaters. But you already know we're fans of the Blunt Man. Talked about Jacob Tremblay earlier. Didn't get enough stuff. He did get a cool trophy that he's put next to his Millennium Falcon. He's going to be coming to Fox's Last Man on Earth playing the young version of Will Forte's character. Really excited. I hope it's more than just one episode. He has a lot of stuff happening right now. He's going to be showing up in a lot of movies in the next year or two. But as a fan of this show and what Phil Miller and his character's name is Phil Miller. What Philip Lord and Chris Miller do on that show, and the writers' room in general. Really fun show. You should check it out, and hopefully his appearance after this Oscar season will give more reason into.
Well, good
I was
luck
gonna
to the
talk
kid, though. I mean, let's hope that he doesn't become a washed-up child celebrity.
right, Macaulay Culkin. Uh, I was gonna talk about this last week, and it didn't really make sense, and I still don't really have much to talk about. And you're not really interested in the property, or at least you don't know much about it. But HBO's Westworld, the show that
Hmm.
they're currently in production on, they paused it last week, and there's no real clear reason. Apparently, Jonathan Nolan and the producers weren't exactly satisfied with what was going on, so they're tweaking things. Who knows what? But from with the reports that I read, they're about halfway through production. I mean, obviously they put out that teaser many months ago now. That looked amazing. Really great cast involved: Ed Harris, Evan Rachel Wood, so on and so forth. So I hope that they get this figured out soon, because this has been a big production that has been rumored for like 3 or 4 years now. And for them to finally be making headroom, for them to finally let's have to stop right now before I can get my hands on it, is kind of
Yeah,
sad.
well, it's just you don't know now if what's happening story-wise. If there's,
Yeah,
it's a script problem, and
it might be a script problem. It could be an actor thing. Like, don't you remember? This was like 4 months ago now when we were talking about the SAG-AFTRA conflict that might be happening on set because there was like unsimulated sex scenes. Like it was genital contact between actors. Do you remember this?
yeah, a
It might
while
have been
ago.
like a small thing on our show. It was months and months
Yeah.
ago. So who knows? Maybe like something else like that happened, and so they're pausing production to trying to get things together. But there's so much here that even if it's not the best thing on TV, I think it's gonna be really great. So I don't know. I'm really excited about this. I still think you should need to check out the Yul Brynner movie.
Well,
Uh,
I don't know. You told me
James
to check out
Brolin's
the
in it,
show
so.
first, so
No, 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 no. I said see the movie before you see the show.
I thought it was the exact opposite that you told me.
Why would I say that?
I don't know. You tell me.
I wouldn't say I haven't seen the show. Maybe what I said was wait for the show to see if it's good.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe like I don't know. I think maybe if I did in fact say this, my mentality was that the pilot is going to be basically the
Like my
movie.
mentality was to get to the movie first, so
Well, whatever I said in the past, don't find the clip. Definitely check it out
I'm not
sooner.
gonna look for it. No,
The movie,
no, no,
the
the
clip.
clip. No, why would I do
Yeah,
that?
yeah. No, see this movie.
If
It's
we have
really
an
interesting.
obsessive enough listener that knows this stuff, like that would be awesome to have.
Well, it's all on YouTube now, so it'd be even easier to steal our content. I mean, obviously you can download it anyway,
Yeah,
but
it's
just
it's up
saying,
there for free.
just find the timestamp and tweet it at us. Same with HBO for a little bit here. James Franco is coming to the first non-TV network. They've ordered David Simon's The Deuce series. It's going to chronicle the legalization of pornography in New York's Times Square in the mid '70s. So this is, in relation to Deep Throat and how big pornography and X-rated films were in that era. So, David Simon responsible for The Wire and Treme, and more recently, what was it? Send Me a Hero, the one with Oscar Isaac. It was the miniseries. So it's good that they're keeping him on board. Be interesting what James Franco can do. Obviously, right now he's doing the Hulu show, the Stephen King adaptation. I think it's like 11/26/73. I can't remember the numbers in order. I'm not good at that. So in between all the stuff he does, how busy he is, it'd be interesting to see him on HBO. Final HBO thing I got right here. They just ordered Judd Apatow's Crashing a series. It follows comedian Pete Holmes living couch to couch in other stand-up houses or stand-up comedians' houses on their couch as a way to cope with breaking up with his girlfriend. This sounds like it'd be really good. Kind of have the comedian angle that funny people had. I want to see this. I think it could be his big hit on HBO because he's involved with girls, but it's obviously Lena Dunham's show.
There's also the
Jenny
Netflix
Connor.
show. Don't forget about that.
Get in there in a second. Well, there's a Netflix show, and then there's also the Pee Wee's Big Holiday, which is premiering March 18th. So between that and the Love Show, which starts in like 2 weeks, it's kind of gone back to the well, and he's maybe satisfied with just being a showrunner again. I'm sure he's going to be directing the HBO show in some capacity, in the same way that he's directed an episode or two of Girls.
Well, he's just doing whatever he wants to creatively. He has that clout now to do
He
that.
has
So
it,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not like he has to make a movie or I don't know about you, but like I like This Is 40, but it feels like that was
Too personal
that
or
yeah,
rushed,
well no, just kind of like a bit of a creative dry spell. Like he doesn't know what else to say anymore, and he felt like he had to get a movie out there. That's
maybe.
kind of what it felt like. It sort of felt like the Zack and Miri.
I've talked about this before with you. It's like that movie. I don't plan to see it again until I'm 40. I didn't really know how to relate to the characters, and we have a podcast for this, but well, not you and I, but
You
Dollar
do, yeah.
Reviews from the first
Yeah,
season.
where you talk smack on
Um,
funny people.
sure.
I know, I see how it is. Yeah.
Hey, like Funny People's not a good movie. It's too long. It's too long to be a
It's a
comedy.
great movie. It's not a comedy.
It's the fucking Merman. I'll make the
There's
Merman
jokes
movie.
in it, but it's not a comedy.
It's a movie about
Yeah.
comedians.
They naturally are funny, so it's a movie about funny
The
people.
movie's called Funny
I know it's
People.
about funny people. It doesn't.
It was if a movie's marketed a certain way and I pay my money to go see it, I expect that kind of movie, not a 2.5 hour dramedy.
It's a movie about funny people, man. It wasn't marketed as a comedy. In fact, that
It
trailer
totally
spoiled
was.
everything too.
Oh yeah, with
Yeah.
Adam Sandler not actually dying of
Yeah.
cancer.
That's just.
Well, I mean,
It's a tough movie to market.
that's Hollywood. Not one of my favorite films, but I am excited about this Pee Wee's Big Holiday. They've been kind of teasing it for over a year now. It's funny though because I've never seen Big Top Pee Wee. It's on Netflix, I believe, or maybe it's on HBO Go. This should be my reason to see it before the next 2 months.
I've never sat through the entirety of Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
You should. It's a fun
technically,
movie.
yeah, I haven't.
It's a bizarre movie.
I think I've only seen like the last 20 minutes or so every time it's been on HBO, but I've never sat through the whole thing.
Technically, I named a 2 Cents episode after Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
You know what? I'm gonna add it to the list of shame right now.
You should. It's I think it's episode 15. The Stars at Night Are Big and Bright. It was your first episode in Texas, and so like that's more than just a Pee Wee reference. That's a song reference. But he has a really good scene in it. If we did the audio snippets like we do now back then it would have been the headliner of that show. But you should add to your list of shame. It's a good one.
I'm adding
I mean,
it right now.
Tim Burton's career kind of, you could argue, wouldn't exist without that success.
Well, I mean, yeah,
But
that's his first major
yeah,
Hollywood.
it
That's
was
his
like he
debut
made
film, isn't it?
yeah he made Frankenweenie and then he made that.
Yeah.
Um, got Netflix, two other Netflix things to close out the show. One of these should have been the movie category, but that was already too bloated. And if you care about Netflix, whatever, it doesn't matter anyway. They're adapting the 2002 novel Altered Carbon to a 10-episode series. It's about a terrestrial outcast being brought to Earth to solve a murder 500 years into the future, in a time where death is almost impossible after the advent of human minds being digitized. Sounds really cool. Get this, it's written by the screenwriter of Shutter Island and Terminator Genesis.
Leda Kalogridis, right?
Something like that,
Yeah.
yeah. I actually am excited about the show. It sounds like it'd be really good. It's going to be a future noir type thing. Maybe they could do like a cyberpunk angle. Just brains, the human mind being digitized and immortals, like kind of get like a little bit of a Blade Runner vibe from that setup. I don't know what the novel's like. It's only 10 episodes, so it's not a big commitment. I'm guessing it's going to be the 1 hour type show because that's usually what the 10 episode orders are. Notwithstanding, like what you call it, Master of None, and a couple
Hmm.
other examples. But yeah, they've pumped $6 billion into original programming this year. They keep mentioning things. Last week we like titled it after Netflix. We talked about so much of their stuff, all the acquisitions they made just in this week alone. I don't know where they get that capital because you'd think only $10 a month couldn't buy that much stuff.
From 75 million people.
Yeah, that's only $750 million. Oh, times 12 though,
And then there's, I don't know, there's
a
other
year.
financiers in there. I don't know. And then there's, I guess they make a profit off of Blu-rays of House of Cards and other stuff.
Let's do the math.
There's also,
750 times 12 times, and they're raising the price times
I
10.
mean, they're still doing the DVD service. That's profitable enough. Like, not as profitable, but they're not going to stop that until it results in a loss.
So, in a given year, if someone stays for the whole year, I put 750. They make 9,000, followed by uh nine. So it's 90 billion a year. Looks like it. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
9 billion, rather. That's just quick math. I'm not good at that.
No, but I mean it's a
Yeah,
lot. I'm sure even if they're not financing something 100%, they can work with other production companies too. So they're able to get the
yeah. I
ball
mean,
rolling on some stuff.
they
They got to be
it's very
making money off of it's they don't make money solely off of just off the subscription. They make money off of the content itself that's streamed.
it's weird because they don't really produce anything. Like they bankroll it and they buy it and they distribute it and stream it. But Master None, for instance, someone was asking Aziz Ansari earlier this week about a second season. That's filmed at Fox. Like the Marvel stuff, that's filmed at Disney, I would assume. Like they don't act well. It's filmed in New York rather. But
Yeah,
Netflix
Sony
is
owns House of Cards.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's rare for Netflix. I don't know if they've actually ever done it to actually like they might bankroll it, but they don't produce it. Like they don't have a studio, Like someone else makes this content and then they package it and people believe they do. And I mean that's also how TV
I
works.
don't
Like
know if
only
are
the
they
movie industry
legally
does.
allowed to do it 100%. That would make them a monopoly, wouldn't it?
I don't think so because you can't be a
Or
monopoly. Like
monopolize rather content. Yeah.
vertical integration's not the same in TV, and especially with streaming, there aren't streaming rules set up. I mean, but even still in Hollywood, like there's still vertical integrations. Like we've talked about this before. Like look at the Wanda Group that just bought Legendary.
Hmm.
Okay, so they own a production company. Wanda owns AMC theaters, so they own Exhibitor. And who knows with the world people that just put $500 million into Universal. Like if you bought a distributor, then you would have all three. In Australia, that's what blew me away. Village Roadshow, they own movie theaters, so they are a production company. They don't have a distribution model here, but they do down under, and they own the movie houses. So it's not necessarily monopoly. It's just it's vertically integrated. It makes sense if you have the business. It's just it's kind of frowned upon because you could be cornering the market. But I don't think that's the same deal with Netflix. I just like if they made their own content and they have a distribution model, it's not like you're buying a Netflix TV to watch it, which would be smart if they did that. They should do that. But last thing on the docket here, And like I said, this should have been up in movies, but whatever. It's the end of the show, so if you listen this long, congrats, and you get this little treat. Probably the thing that I'm most excited about this week. They're making another movie. It's a low budget sci-fi called Arc, ARQ. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic future where oil is dried up, and there's an invention that could replace it with infinite energy, but there's one catch. Being around this item puts you in a time loop. It stars Robbie Amell, who's the cousin of the star of Green Arrow on CW, and also Rachel Taylor. It's written and directed by Tony Elliott, best known for the work that he does on Black Mirror, which is also on Netflix now. And they have four other features lined up, plus acquisitions and co-productions looming, including Brad Pitt's War Machine with Plan B. I think that this one could be a hit if it's done well. It could be a more accessible version of Looper.
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm a
It's
real big fan of time loop movies if they're good, like Groundhog's Day.
well, yeah, it's nice that it's something original at least. That's the big thing. That's
Well,
what
I
I'm happy
mean, Beast
about.
of No Nations was original. I think if they're
Okay, but well,
making
that's
if they're making a
it's an original
movie,
genre piece, which is definitely something that we don't get when we get something that's genre related. It's usually based off a franchise.
usually,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Project Almanac is a pretty close example of this movie. Not time loop, but time travel. But
hmm
time travel is time loop. Um, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to this movie. There's no dates given. I mean, it's Netflix. They never do it until like a month before. Pee Wee, like I said, they've been teasing that for over a year now. And we finally know it's coming out on March 18th. So I don't know. Like I said, they already got deals with a lot of the people involved with this. Um, but like I said, I don't think this is going to be a streaming only title. I think it's going to be a Beast of No Nations type deal where they get because this is them making it. They're actually producing this. That it's going to get the theatrical release window as
I mean,
well.
it sounds like the perfect movie for it too to see in a theater.
Yeah,
Which so was
I
Beast of
mean,
No Nation, but
well, yeah, but
it's not
I think
Ridiculous
that
Six. Let's put it that way.
huh. I'm still curious though, like why that didn't. I mean, we know why it's not a good movie, but it would have made money. It would have made
Would
better
it?
than like I think
I
so.
mean, Pixels did not like if Pixels was on
Pixels was a
Netflix
big
instead, though.
production.
You know that it would
Well,
have gotten a ton
Pixels
of
would have been
streams.
huge.
It would have been
Yeah,
huge on
I
Netflix,
mean,
but theatrically, it clearly didn't make the cut.
I think that's just because they marketed it a certain way, and it was far worse than the marketing. It seemed like I was excited about that
Yeah, no, we
movie.
both were.
Like it seemed like it was gonna be really good. It was like, ooh, they got a good
I
cast.
mean, no, that
They
trailer
got
was
Chris
great too. The setup
Columbus.
for it of like, yeah,
All
we
yeah,
sent a
all the
capsule
trailers
and then they
with
came back.
Pac-Man and Donkey
But yeah,
Kong and all that stuff. It
Pac-Man
looked so
eating a fire
good.
truck in New York City was the
It looked
funniest thing ever. I
amazing.
mean,
Their
you couldn't,
marketing,
yeah.
those billboards where it was like a three-dimensional Pac-Man eating the billboard,
hmm
just amazing. And they made video games like for it. Like they made a Qbert game. Sony did right before on PlayStation,
And the
and
action scenes in
they
the movie are actually good.
they're pretty
It's
good.
not
It's
funny.
it's meant for 11 year
It's
olds.
so soul-suckingly unfunny. Like,
Yeah.
man,
Ridiculous Six was definitely more
yeah.
funny. It was a funnier film, even if they used the same diarrhea burrow joke like four
Well,
times. The
it
first
was
time
clearly
was
an
funny.
R-rated film too. So like
Well, it's
it went
Netflix, so
far
it's
more
not
extreme. Yeah.
R, but it's adults only
hmm
streaming.
Although
I think what
kids
they
saw it
say.
for sure, you know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. I mean, they didn't. There weren't many f bombs. There wasn't nudity, so it's not really gonna hurt someone just because they saw shit spear all over someone's face or Harvey Keitel's head getting chopped off. I mean, at the end of the day, you got a Vanilla Ice
The Mark
doing
Twain.
poetry as Mark Twain.
I chuckled.
I
It's
almost fell
stupid,
asleep
but
in
it's
that
I
scene.
laughed.
You know what I watched this week? I was watching like a couple of episodes of Vanilla Ice has a like home renovation show. I don't know what channel it's on, but I saw like two episodes and it wasn't bad. It was just like any other of those shows that you'd seen. It's the same formula, but like he was wearing a shirt that said like, "Yo, if you got a problem, I'll solve it." Like, how much of a tool do you have to be wearing a shirt that quotes yourself? I think we got to make dollar reviews t-shirts now. Like, oh,
Well,
what kind
what are
of
they
that?
going to say?
Just like I'd buy that for $1. It's like on the back it says dollar reviews podcast. I'm like, oh, like I've heard that podcast. Like, yeah, I'm on it. That's like the worst form of self like, just promotion. That's horrible.
The benefit of that though is that we wouldn't be on it, so they would have the benefit of not recognizing us.
Well, what if we put pictures of ourselves?
God, no.
Oh my god.
What would
Okay,
that
we
look like?
it couldn't be as bad as Oscars So White. So if you got anything you want to say to us, now's the time. Go out there on the Twitterverse, tweet it at us at Dollar Reviews. Do the same on Facebook. Like our page. Leave a comment. Like I said, everything that we've ever made is on YouTube now, so you can also subscribe or follow there. Leave a comment there as well. Easy to embed stuff all over the net that way. You can send us emails. Like I said, we have an actual domain now, dollarviews.net. In addition to that, we got fancy emails to go along with it. So you can send me one, Brian, that's Bryon at dollarreviews.net. Steve as well, Steve at dollarreviews.net. Isn't that easy?
Mm-hmm.
As always, you can also find us personally on Twitter. My name is Brian Gillis,
I'm-
BrynGillis.
I'm Stephen Moutmanex, and I'm not going to bother spelling my last name because you won't even know how to do it.
Well, I didn't know how to pronounce it correctly until like a week ago.
How do you pronounce it? Keep going.
Moutmanex.
Yeah, you're still not perfect. You're still off a little bit.
It's pretty close though, right?
You're not even pronouncing the T though.
Do you pronounce the T?
Maltzmanex, yeah.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah.
I'm in America. I speak American. I work with American names. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in a couple days.